This is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. We're doing a review and talking about what is supposed to be the last entry in this long-running action franchise starring Tom Cruise. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well, and comments are always great to support basically more of these movie reviews, I suppose you would say. Alright, let's dive in and talk about this. This is a franchise I've been watching for many decades at this point, some perhaps even longer as far as the cinematic experience goes. But yeah, Mission Impossible's always been epic. It's always been exciting. They've always been pushing boundaries. They've always been doing something different. Each of the entries is fun and exciting, and for the longest time it was kind of building up. And I would say Mission Impossible Fallout really was the peak of this franchise. Perfect action, perfect excitement, plot, thrill, everything like that. And then we got to the point where there was this two-parter situation. So there was like Dead Reckoning Part 1, and this was supposed to be Dead Reckoning Part 2. Now this is the Final Reckoning, and the other one is Reckoning. I don't know. The naming convention's kind of poorly thought out. It turns out people don't like Part 1, Part 2 as much as people maybe in Hollywood think we do. I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't matter. This is supposed to be an action-packed two-part ending, and that's not really necessarily what we got. So the first movie really did feel like its own Mission Impossible story, which was great. I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. A little bit of a step down from Fallout, but it was still a great experience. And then this was supposed to be like a second part to that first part, but this also acted like it was its own thing entirely. It was weird because like the first half of the movie, well, maybe not half, maybe the first third of the movie, because it's like literally like almost 3 hours long. It's a very, very long movie. And you do feel that at times. You really do. Genuinely. I think it's like one of the first times watching Mission Impossible where I did kind of feel like, hey, you guys should have moved it along a little bit quicker, which is totally a weird feeling to have for Mission Impossible. I've never felt that with really any of the other titles, I would say, or any of the other films, right? So, anyways, yeah, the first feels like an hour, maybe 45 minutes or so, is kind of like a little bit of recapping and a lot of heavy exposition. It was weird. They were basically treating you as if you've never watched any of the Mission Impossible movies, which I guess if you've never watched any of the films and you're just here to watch the last one, I guess that's good for you. But it was weird. It was like at the beginning, it was kind of a nice little montage. Okay, cool, cool, cool. This is a big build up. This is what everything's been working towards. And then it just kept doing that. Like somebody would say something and then it would do like a flashback to like the previous movie or a movie or two ago. It was really weird. And it got super annoying after a while where I was just kind of like, okay, we're just recapping what's already happened. Like at the beginning, I was like, okay, neat, cool, kind of nice homage to getting you all ready for this final thing. And then after a while, I was just kind of like, wow, it's just literally repeating parts from other movies. This is completely unnecessary for someone that literally is watching the other films. Like, had I come in like literally a half hour or so into the movie, I would have missed kind of nothing, and nothing would have mattered anyways, because the opening is just sort of really slow and weird. It's just bizarre. And there was also a guy filming parts of the movie that I had to yell out about turning off his phone because he was recording the opening. I literally didn't get to enjoy the bum bum bum, that part when that pops up, because the guy's like recording the tired of watching movies. But no, it was cool to go, and it was great. Like Paramount got me set up so I could go and watch it and everything like that, which was fantastic. But man, the theatrical experience has just gone downhill. I know it's a total side thing, but it drives me crazy that people are just, yeah. Anyways, so to get back on track, this is really feels like the final entry. I mean, obviously in movies and stories, is it ever really the end? But no, there's a lot of weight to what happens here. There's a lot of loss. There are high stakes. You feel those stakes. See, that's the weird thing. Is like the plot a little messy. The villain pretty one-dimensional. He was just there to laugh maniacally. I don't really know what his plan was. I don't even know what the entity's plan really was. I mean, I have the general gist of it, but it's like I get, they learn from humanity and and all that stuff. And it's like I get that, but like, yeah, the villain, like Gabriel, he just basically turned into a one-dimensional laughing guy, and like, Ethan Hunt's history and past that was brought up in the last movie didn't really come into factor at all. And then there's other random new additions to their team, which were some of them really, really cool. Some great throwbacks, a character from like long, long ago coming in, a couple twists, a couple turns, but like it just kind of felt a little off. It felt kind of messy, which was weird. Like it's still a ton of fun. The action is incredible. The cinematography is gorgeous. The intensity, the battles, the way the plot moves along. There's some good laughs. There's some crazy action moments. There's this really cool, massive scene, and massive in terms of like literally the scale of it, but also how long it is of going through like a submarine. Although it was weird because it was like mostly quiet, and then there was like a dumb line about a torpedo, which I guess was in case the audience was maybe stupid or something. I don't know. Kind of took me out of things, but yeah, it's just kind of like great set pieces, great movement, but like the glue kind of meshing it together just felt a little bit off on this one. But like a Mission Possible where things aren't perfectly smooth along the way is still a fantastic movie. I mean, you're very likely going to want to watch this regardless. If you've been a fan of the series, you'll want to check this out and see how it all ends. I mean, I had to jump in as soon as I could watch the end of the series because it's something I've loved throughout the years. There's always something different, always something fresh. And this one, a lot of it was retreading too. It felt like Mission Impossible Fallout, where it's like, oh, we've got a big plane sequence chase that's just a little crazier, or there's like a bomb situation we got to deal with, or everything's got to be done at this particular second. But it was also missing some of the fun. Like we got a little bit with masks, but some of the usual things that you expect out of a Mission Impossible movie also weren't really fully here in this one. It's just a bit bizarre. Like I did enjoy it thoroughly. Like I felt that there was weight behind what was happening. The stakes of the characters mattered, but like there was other things that just felt like huge holes, like Ilsa's kind of death in the previous film. Nothing about that at all. And then of course we got the new lady coming into the picture. I like how that was handled, but it's just like so many things just felt like they were just kind of dropped from previous films, and I guess that was to make things move along. But even then, you're just dumping exposition where it feels like a good third of the movie is just kind of pointless. And the pacing of it, it felt like an actual long movie, which I've never felt for Mission Impossible. Usually, Mission Impossible, from start to finish, pure action, pure excitement. I'm on board the whole way through. I'm loving it. I'm thrilled by what it is. And in this one, I was kind of sitting there being like, this is great and all, but like, I feel like we've seen a lot of this, and it feels like it's just kind of taken a while. And by the end of the movie, I was just like, that was a long movie. And it felt like a long movie, and that's not really what I expect out of Mission Impossible. I also felt that the score was really missing too. You know, the musical beat of like bump, bump, bump. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, wasn't quite there, but you know, you get the usual things. Tom Cruise, fantastic as his character. You know, the supporting cast, always excellent. Benji there with Pegg was absolutely great character in this movie. Very well done. The supporting cast, Hayley Atwell, great. Pom was fantastic too. Luther had a really important part of this story, despite not being like a huge part of it all. Big factor, and you know, just a lot of really strong roles, strong performances, but a lot of like a bit of a messy plot, a bit of bad pacing, a bit of retreading. Like it's good for those that are coming in and this is their first Mission Impossible. But if you've already been around this rodeo for a while, you're kind of going to be like, well, why are we just recapping everything I've already seen? And I think that was a problem. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I had, like I said, some good laughs. The action felt tense. I felt like the characters could literally die at any point. There was points where I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, no, seriously, the mission is ridiculous. There's no way this is going to work. But that's the fun of it, is them doing the literal impossible. That's Mission Impossible. They're supposed to do what others can't be done. Although it did feel a little contrived that everything had to go in a specific way to deal. Like, the entity itself wasn't a very good villain idea, I think, for this last two-parter. And then, like, it's like an idea that, like, my grandmother would have had as, like, the AI being super scary and stuff. And I get what they were going for, but yeah, Gabriel was just... And it's not even the actor's fault. There just wasn't anything for him to do in this one. And, you know, it's just a little wonky. It was still fun. It was still engaging. It was still something that you should see if you're a fan of the series. It's a nice wrap-up. At least things lingering, and it is perhaps one of the weaker entries in the series, but at the same time, it's finished. I would say I really don't know how well this is going to do, and if we're going to see more. If there's more, I'd love to see that. But yeah, it does seem like they've kind of run out of spectacle and ideas, but at the same time, fun movie, emotional, engaging, the characters mattered, everything felt nice. And it's weird where I can point out all these problems, but at the end of the day, still have had a great time watching. I give it a 7.6. You can read my full review in the description below if I have that, or as a pinned comment. And again, liking the video is great, subscribing is great as well. and your comments and stuff if you want to see more movie reviews. But yeah, to give it a score like that, despite all the complaints and stuff I kind of mentioned, it still just felt like a great fun time, and that's what I hope for out of Mission Impossible movies. It's just an enjoyable experience, and that's what I got. And if it just fine tuned things a little bit more, there could have been something really, really perfectly amazing here. But that's how it goes.